had the opportunity to get out of it and didn't do it. So yeah, he's even more of a fool than the guy that gets in now. So look, people have been fooled by fool's gold since we've had gold. People have been trying to come up with something to replace it. It doesn't work. I mean, it sounds great because it's digital and it's the internet and all that. But no, and in fact, Bitcoin is about $5,400 as I'm talking. It peaked out. The Bitcoin bubble popped at the end of 2017 at 20,000. Bitcoin's been in a bear market since then. And like all bear markets, there's always a lot of hope every time it rallies that we're going to new highs, that we're going to the moon. But you know what? That hasn't happened. The smart money is selling Bitcoin, right? The smart money that got in a long time ago is trying to unload, and they need buyers. They need to keep the hodlers on board so they can sell. And so, if you're smart, if you are listening to this podcast, one of the best things you can do right now is sell your Bitcoin. And if you own any of the other altcoins, sell them too. And work with Schiff Gold. Schiff Gold, we were one of the first gold companies to work with BitPay. You can actually use your Bitcoin through BitPay, and we will help you. We'll make it easy in one type, transaction. You can go to Schiff Gold and you can convert your worthless fool's gold of a Bitcoin into actual real gold. Now, even though Bitcoin is intrinsically worthless, it's not worthless in the market because there's still some fool who is willing to buy that from you. So before we run out of fools, do the smart thing and sell your Bitcoin to whoever is foolish enough to buy it. Use the Schiff Gold platform through BitPay, and then take the fiat currency that you get by unloading your Bitcoin and use it to buy real gold. And now somebody else is going to suffer that loss when Bitcoin collapses, and you're going to have actual gold. Hey, I just noticed I've been on the phone so long, Paul. I need to get the plug in my laptop now, because otherwise I'm going to drain the laptop. And I was on 100% battery, and now I'm down to 5%. I mean, I started at 4:30. Yeah, I've been doing this for 3 hours. Holy, I didn't even realize that. How many people have been with me for the entire 3 hours? It's almost like the Jerry Lewis telethon now. That's how long I've been on this thing.
7,000 so.
All right, there's still 7,000 people. We started with 10, so we lost 3. Stop at some point here. How many more questions are queued up, Paul? A lot. Man, I might have to take a break for dinner and then come back for part 2. I guess I can spend my whole night doing this. But anyway, but don't expect me to do this every day. But I do expect, one thing I expect from doing this, other than the tips that people have given me, which I obviously appreciate the gifts. But what I want everybody to do who is watching and participating in this is not only, sign up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, but tell your friends, make a goal, get 10 people that you know to start listening to me. Doesn't cost them anything. Let them go on my website, tell them about my podcast, schiffradio.com. Get them to start listening. This is the time where people have to wake up. They need to know the truth. They're not going to get it from, financial news. They're not going to get it from the cable news networks. They're not going to get it on Fox or MSNBC or CNN or ABC, NBC, CBS. They're not going to get it from CNBC or Bloomberg. None of these news sources are going to say what I'm saying. And every once in a while, look, when I go out, I was on Fox Business a day ago, 2 days ago, right? I get a minute to talk. I'm on there, and I'm glad that they had me on. And, Liz Claim is one of the few people on Claim and Countdown that has me on. So watch her show too, because every once in a while you might see me. But I'm barely on. I mean, how much can I get in a 30-second soundbite, right? So if you really want to let me talk and get the information on, it's my podcast. It's forums like this. It's platforms like this. So the more people that are listening to me, if I see my subscribers really going up, I don't know how much this coronavirus thing is going to set me back, as no one's going to be doing any work. But my goal was to create this studio, a really nice studio, a set, to have cameras and everything, and do my podcasts, with video again on YouTube, and do them live and do more of them. But the more people that are actually listening and watching, the greater is my incentive to provide the content, right? The more demand that I see, the greater the good that I'm doing. I am going to reciprocate by putting out more content. And again, I'm not charging for it, right? I'm just putting it out there, and I want to know that I'm making a difference. I mean, if I had 1 million subscribers to my YouTube channel, right? My podcast right now in business, the highest I saw my podcast get was, I just looked at, got to like number 14 in business. But I didn't even make it into the top 200 of overall podcasts. I had to get to like number 11 in business to make it, I think, onto the top 200. But, you know, people can start listening to my podcast on, you know, iTunes, but help me become number one. The number one podcast in business is Dave Ramsey. And, you know, he's, you know, there's nothing that you're really going to learn about this from Ramsey. You know, I remember on his show, he called me a kook because somebody called up James Ramsey before the 2008 financial crisis because they read Crash Proof and said, hey, I read this book written by this guy, Peter Schiff. He says we're going to have a financial crisis. He said real estate's going to crash. I should get out of the stock market. And the guy said I was a nut. He said he's a kook. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he rattled off all these companies. And he said, hey, if Peter Schiff is right, that General Motors is going out of business, the GE is going out of business. And they did. GM went bankrupt. They got bailed out. I mean, every company that he rattled off that he said nobody should sell was down by like 70, 80, 90%. And then he said, real estate will never go down. You want to own your home. I mean, so he couldn't be more wrong. So, I mean, he's a successful guy when it comes to financial radio, but, you know, he's as clueless as everybody else when it comes to really understanding the economy, really understanding the Fed. And I would like, I mean, I don't know if it's even possible to knock him off his perch as the number one podcast for business, but it would be fantastic if I could do it. So let's have that as a goal, but let's see how high up you can help get me. I mean, if we spread the word, I mean, I think my stuff is entertaining too. I don't think I bore people. And so, you know, we just got to get out there. You know, I tried doing my talk radio show for a while. I was doing a radio. Podcasting is easier. I kind of can work around my own schedule, but, you know, I just need a bigger audience. So everybody who's listening here, you know, if there's 7,000 people that are listening, get 10 people to listen to me, that's 700,000. If they get me to get 700,000 more subscribers, I mean, I'll shoot up to the top. So just make it a personal goal of everybody on this podcast or listening to this on YouTube to just tell as many people as possible. Hey, I was listening to Peter Schiff last night. I was watching Peter Schiff. Check him out. Here's the link. Here's his channel. Look at his, you know, check out his podcast. Look at his YouTube. Look at some of his videos. All right. Anyway, let me get back to these questions here. 7,000 times 10, 70,000. I was off by a zero. All right. So anyway, I wasn't a math major. So everybody has to tell 100 people then. It's a lot of people. Well, I'll settle for 10. I'll settle for 10. Let me see. Next question. Oh, it's a $99 question. Hopefully I'll have the $99 answer. From Michael Paninsky. What's your take on the New World Order central bank plans? Have you looked into it? Look, I don't know that there's a conspiracy among central bankers to enact a New World Order. Sometimes it looks like there's some kind of conspiracy. Look, I just think these guys are politicians. I don't know if they even understand how bad it's going to be. I think they want to postpone the day of reckoning for as long as possible. I think that's what they view their goal as, just kick the can down the road as long as we can. And just hope for the best. You know, that was Bernie Madoff's strategy. You know, he was running a giant Ponzi scheme. He just hoped that he would get away with it long enough for it to be his children's problem, right? If he would have lived long enough and died without the Ponzi scheme blowing up, and Bernie might have made it. You know what was the Achilles heel for Bernie Madoff? It was the financial crisis. Because when the market crashed, a lot of his clients needed money. And according to the statements, nobody lost any money because the statements were phony. So people lost money all over the place. And so they said, oh, let me take some money from Madoff. I mean, he didn't lose anything. I need money. I got wiped out every place else. And that was the end of the Ponzi scheme. Because the Ponzi schemes only work if you get enough new money to pay the people that want their money back. And for years and years and years, nobody wanted their money back because it was doing so well. Nobody wanted to take any money away from